So I'm going to start with a quote. The quote is by one Ray Dalio, and the quote goes, "Pain plus reflection equals progress." What does that mean? To me, it means that in the pursuit of any endeavor, there's probably going to be a lot of pain. The expectation that something is going to be easy, it's going to be downhill, is setting yourself up to fail. It is difficult. It's very difficult. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. The reflection period after it is generally where you decide to make progress or not. So can you learn from the pain? What lessons did you get? It's like a litmus test life will place in front of you. It's more like a worthiness test. How much shit are you willing to go through? How, just like building a muscle in the gym, you don't just go once and do a few bicep curls and expect it to be stacked, henge. It's a process. Yeah, and it's 1% every day, not even 1% sometimes. But it's an infinite game, and falling in love with the process, despite being difficult, is what will ultimately dictate whether you are successful, however you define that, or not. Linking it back to the quote, so pain plus reflection equals progress is the quote. Because without the pain, most people quit when they feel pain, okay? We're wired to be pain-avoiding creatures, even more so than pleasure-seeking. And if you have that reflection period after the pain, this is the only way for you to actually make progress, because you learn what not to do. And by knowing what not to do, by default, you now know what to do. But you wouldn't have got that unless you went through a specific pain. And it's always a barrier, and there's always something you have to learn or do or experience or have in order to transpire the limitations of your current self. That will open up the abundance on the other side. And it's looking back at the lessons, piecing the dots together, like Steve Jobs said, you only connect the dots in retrospect. And that was in reference to him doing a calligraphy course and how that ended up being the typeface for Apple. But the interesting thing now in this environment, still all very new, still don't feel by any means have made it yet. I'm in Dubai. I already live in Bali, which is at one point it seemed like a distant pipe dream. Now in Dubai, penthouse apartment, views over the marina, Lamborghini parked on the drive outside. Sometimes you don't feel worthy of it, but then you realize to be able to handle this level of pressure, responsibility, accountability, you have to transpire, you have to go through that pain, and you have to be able to reflect on that to understand that it's like a rite of passage almost. You don't get the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow without the uphill challenge to ascend and climb. You can float downstream with the market. Perfect. That's like a great learning even for me recently, because with my first business I could not have picked a more difficult market. Not only was I not good enough as an operator, as a thinker, but picking something, inventing a product that had no market, didn't exist, was very difficult, and it extended the time horizon massively. But then when you apply a specific set of skills that I inadvertently developed to a market flowing downstream, you go with the market, that's when you can start to expedite things. But you could also say you just pick a easy market, if such a thing exists. Something like services, where it's kind of cash up front as opposed to e-com, which it's very front-loaded work and effort, and then you have to have inventory, cash flow management. Services are a lot easier. But in order for you to succeed at doing or delivering services, you still have to be someone who's able to coach and teach, and more than anything else, deliver on the promise that you make. And when you know you've been through hell yourself, to the point where you don't even get up in the morning. I tell a story about all the time of just being under the table on a random Tuesday afternoon, raining, and just thinking everything's over and it's lost. You got no money in the bank, business is about to go bust. And it's those points of inflection where you either charge through and find a way to make it work, or you follow your base instincts and just retract and go back into what's safe and comfortable, which is what everyone around you wants you to do. It's what every cell in your body wants you to do. It's almost, you have to develop this unnatural ability to become unstoppable. You have to be that unstoppable force against the immovable object, which is generally life in business. But yeah, I don't think it has to be this difficult, but you can be grateful for the difficulties because it makes you into someone that is steadfast and rock solid when it comes to their mindset. And I still truly believe that success in business is probably 90% mindset, not 80, 90%. Because when it gets difficult, and it will get difficult, it is how you reconcile all this information and also have a, for want of a better term, a pot of gold or a dream situation that makes it worth it for you. So again, just understanding yourself and just being crystal clear on that one sentence I say all the time, which is, what are you optimizing for? It's very interesting to be here and still not feel worthy of it, and still feel you've got everything else still to do, and there's so many others further ahead of you. So sometimes it's nice just to take stock, take a step back, and just remember it is, as trite as it sounds, it is about the journey and who you're becoming, and falling in love with the process and not expecting things too quick. If you get things too quick, it's not actually a good thing, because you don't develop that resilience, that muscle. Because again, think of it as a video game analogy of your level 1, level 2 character coming up against the level 10 boss. You haven't got the weaponry, you haven't got the armory, you haven't got the skills, the dexterity to be able to defeat that. So when that happens, if you do encounter, or again, if you've kind of skipped that process and you've hacked the game to get to level 10, but you're still a level 1 character, you'll literally get fucked up, and that's no fun. Business is an infinite game, and it is about who you're becoming along the journey. So yeah, point of the video is just be grateful for the struggles, because it will either make you or it'll break you. But again, that's the decision. And just remember that you always have, between the thought and the action, there's always that gap in the middle where you actually have a decision as to how you're going to react to something. It's not easy, it's not supposed to be easy. No one said it would be easy. So if you're going through a tough time at the minute, if you have some problems you've not encountered before, it's your job as the entrepreneur, as the CEO, as the operator, to look for creative solutions. And there's always a solution. It might not be the way you want it to be. It might mean going in the third door, which is a detour. Nothing is in a straight line. But again, when you look back, you can be grateful for it, because there was probably no other way for you to do that. And again, that's the value of having a mentor or set of mentors. If you can't afford a personal one, books, I don't know, podcasts, YouTube, so much access to information out of there. That's the only way that you can expedite, if you like, your way there, because you can leverage other successful people's mistakes so that you don't have to do the same thing. And maybe just an English phrase, but they say ignorance is bliss. In entrepreneurship, ignorance is just ignorance. So it's not actually the intelligent thing to go out on your own. Don't copy what I did, because where I am now, I probably could have got here in 2 or 3 years, as opposed to almost a decade. And you can always make more money, you can't make more time. So just a few thoughts and lessons after 8, 9, almost, I think it'll be 10 years in the game in November, which is crazy. But yeah, just super grateful. Don't expect it to be easy. Be grateful for it not being easy, because who you become along the way, you'll be stronger, you'll be more resilient. And also, when you complete this game, you'll be primed and set up for the next level, because remember, every time you solve a problem, it opens up 3 or 4 problems, but you're optimizing for better quality problems. Okay, that's the game, essentially. And if you can't learn to manage $10,000, how are you going to be able to manage $1 million or 10 million? So again, it's a bit of a rite of passage. But yeah, entrepreneurship's a tough game, but the rewards are uncapped. You go on a 9 to 5, the maximum you can do is sell your time for money, and you will never be rich until you divorce your income from your time. That's the key. And entrepreneurship has that capacity to do, but not many will do it because it's so difficult, because you have no safety net. You have no one coming to save you. If you don't do the work, no one's going to do the work for you. If you don't know how to do the work, that's even more difficult. If you don't know what to do, when to do, how to do it. Again, just the value in having a mentor. And that would be my advice to myself of 7, 8 years ago, is just learn from those who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. And there's a lot out there on YouTube, but sometimes specific knowledge is gated, it's paywalled. So do whatever you can do to get into those rooms, right? Or to speak to those in the same industry with similar experience, because they will expedite. The whole reason I'm in Dubai right now is to go to a 3-day business mastermind. and the entry for that was 12k. That's 12,000 English pounds, 15,000 US dollars. Like, I didn't make that in my first year and a half cumulative, like working in a full-time job, like 7, 8, 9 hours a day with commission, then minus tax off that. To be able just to be like, drop that, no problem, fly to Dubai, nice car, nice apartment, and the marina, like, it's crazy. Think the total sum of all of that, and for now it's just like, yeah, no problem. Again, to do that is a different mindset, because everyone just assumes everything online's a scam or it's dangerous. And yes, there's always bad players, but that doesn't mean you tar everyone with the same brush. I think you judge someone by what they do rather than what they say. So that due diligence period and spending time with these guys, if you can, absorbing their information online is key. But yeah, once you get into it, the whole mentorship program I'm running now really only started to take off, and I've been planning to do this for years. In June, July this year, it's now October, because again, I paid a lot of money to go to another mastermind in Bali, and you're in a room of others who are way ahead of you, and you're the dumbest person in the room, barely getting started in this. Yes, you've had success in other industry, but these guys making 200, 300, 400k a month. And again, it gives you a stark realization that there's levels to the game. There's a guy at the mastermind on Friday we're going to this week. He's making $1 million a month, which is crazy. So there's always a new level, right? There's always something else to aspire to. But the main thing is that you know that this is a potential lifeline for you. Like, the only limitation that is actually on you is the one you place in your own mind. Bob Proctor, if you can see it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. And that's true. It really is true. It's fine for me to say that and sitting here pretty, but my journey is horrible. It took me so long. And I remember listening to that same meditation, that Bob Proctor one, when I was on my sofa living at my parents'. I couldn't comprehend any of that. But actually, as a human being, you're apex predator. There's nothing you can't do, have, achieve, particularly so if you're like, even like physical limitations, you can transpire those. It's all, if you have all of your cognitive abilities, you're the ultimate adaptation machine. Okay, and it's not survival of the fittest, it's survival of those most adaptable to change. But you know that diamonds are made under pressure, and it's the same with entrepreneurs. If it's not pressure you put on yourself, it's pressure on the market, pressure from your friends, your family, whatever. So if you can get to a place where you can be grateful for that, and you can use it as fuel to drive you forward, tap into the dark side a little bit. Don't spend too much time there, because there is value in it, but don't lose sight of what you're optimizing for as well. So yeah, just a few musings from Dubai, only been here less than 30 minutes. But yeah, it's cool.